تركوا ولما يعلم الله الذين جاهدوا منكم ولم يتخذوا من دون الله ولا رسوله ولا المؤمنين وليجا والله خبير بما تعملون. Allah knows more about what you do and what you say, so you will be tested. So the Tirmizi, we know that in Hadith Sahih عن سعد أشد الناس بلاء الأنبياء ثم الصالحون ثم الأمثل في الأمثل. The most people that get trialed is the أنبياء, then الصالحون ثم الأمثل في الأمثل. So the most who gets trialed in this life is the أنبياء, subhanallah. And this is no question about that. So whatever you have go through in your trial, whatever happens, subhanallah, you are way down the list other than the أنبياء. And then الصالحون ثم الأمثل في الأمثل. So this is important, inshallah. And subhanallah, in hadith Khabbab ibn al-Arat, and this is in Sahih al-Bukhari, in the authentic narration of al-Bukhari, that Khabbab ibn al-Arat, in the beginning of the Meccan time, he said, we complained to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, we are getting tortured, we are getting punished, and we are small number, very poor, very needy, and the Quraysh and doing all this. And he was mutawassid بردة له في ظل الكعبة. He was sitting and have his burda in the shade of the Kaaba during the early time. And Khabbab was among some of the Sahaba with the Prophet. And we have seen from the mushrikeen shidda, we have seen a lot of torture and punishment and killing during that time. And they say, don't you ask Allah to give us victory? Subhanallah, who wouldn't say that? Who wouldn't think about that in this time? Doesn't that go into your head? Why don't we ask Allah for make dua and Allah will remove everything and Gaza will be the victorious, Muslim will be this and that. The same thinking. That's what I'm saying when we look at the prophets and all that, humans like us. But the message, the Prophet ﷺ, immediately as he saw that, the message to us, he say, ألا تستنصر لنا فجلس محمرا وجهه. The Prophet face ﷺ changed to become red. Subhanallah. Just by having somebody say, make dua for us to give us victory. What is wrong with that? Subhanallah. You think about yourself seeing the Prophet and say, make dua for us to give us victory. Prophet of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam. Can you do this? Subhanallah. This question give the Prophet some like redness in his face, and he was muttaki'an fajalas, subhanallah. And he was angry. And this is a message to us, subhanallah. Because he saw in the tone of Khabbab and the Sahaba that they are hasty. They don't have the sabr. They cannot withstand the trials. And this is only introduction to talk about the trials of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, because this is the last time and I feel some sorrow about that, subhanallah. We haven't done enough to cover him. Wallahi inna man kana qablakum, this is what the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, inna man kana qablakum la yu'khadhu ar-rajul fayumashshad ba'amshat al-hadid. People from among nations before you, the man would be held in a hole and they will get a saws of iron to separate him, subhanallah, ma bayna lahmin wa asab. So they remove the flesh from his nerves, from his muscles. Ma yasrifuhu dhalika an dini. This will not stop him from being on his Islam, on being on his deen. ويؤخذ فتحفر له الحفرة فيوضع المنشار على رأسه فينشق اثنين. Subhanallah. They keep sewing him into two parts, subhanallah. Two parts, and he is in the hole being held, and this is not going to change anything. Hearing the saw in his head, going through it, and nothing will change. Now say like, okay, I changed my mind, subhanallah. ما يصرف عن دينه وليتمن الله هذا الأمر. The Prophet is saying, wallahi, that Allah will make this amr tam. Allah will perfect this deen to be among all the nations, subhanallah. حتى يسير الراكب من صنعاء إلى حضرموت. Until the one who is riding will ride from Sana'a all the way from the Sham until Hadramaut, all the way to Yemen. From Sham all the way to Yemen. And this is like, to give an example, at that time, like huge distance. لا يخشى إلا الله. Doesn't have anything in his heart among all these trials and killing and all this in Meccan time. There will be time nobody is going to be afraid of anything, moving all this distance from Sana'a ila Hadramaut, no fear from anyone except from Allah and the wolves on his lambs, subhanallah. الشاهد at the end of the hadith, ولكنكم تستعجلون. But you are hasty. You don't have patience. Something happened to you, you immediately blame each other and see this and this is that and this that, and what is the patience and what is the sakina, what is the tama'nina, what is that? Allah wants this for a reason. And we have inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. What is that? وَلَكِنَّكُمْ تَسْتَعْجِلُونَ. This is the seerah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, sitting with us, telling every one of us, وَلَكِنَّكُمْ تَسْتَعْجِلُونَ. So have the sabr. And it is not easy when we talk about that, and that's why tawasaw bil sabr, we have to recommend. You see somebody in a hospital, brother, inshallah you will be fine. This is a trial. You see somebody in a big poverty or something, inshallah this is a trial, this will be good. The most people getting trialed are the anbiya, summa al-amthal fal-amthal, then the best people of us, subhanallah. This is part of the hikmah. This is namus al-hayah. This is the law of Allah, qadar, subhanallah. So moving to Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, and we'll talk only about 6 inshallah for the sake of time. The first trial that he was given is the taklif, holding somebody and giving him the taklif of risala and giving him da'wah, and you will be a prophet to your qawm, while there is no, subhanallah, sharia before him. People are worshipping the idols, worshipping anything. They have no concept, subhanallah, of Allah at all. All they know is the idols in their temples and all that, and we know about his break and all that, subhanallah. So this is a huge trial. He was like living his life and got this, the trial of the taklif. In the Surah Al-Baqarah, وَإِذَا ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ فَأَتَمَّهُنَّ قَالَ إِنِّي جَاعِلُكَ لِلنَّاسِ إِمَامًا. I'm gonna make you, that Allah subhanallah is telling Prophet Ibrahim, I'm gonna make you imaman for nas. قال ومن ذريتي قال لا ينال عهد الظالمين. Is it also among my offspring? Allah told him لا ينال عهد الظالمين. If somebody of your offspring is zalim, then they will not get that. But subhanallah, we know the offsprings of Sayyidina Ibrahim became prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, and we'll see that. So all the takalif that was given, subhanallah, فَأَتَمَّهُنْ. Sayyidina Ibrahim has fulfilled all the taklif, all the missions that he was giving. And this is in Surah Al-Najm, وَإِبْرَاهِيمُ الَّذِي وَفَّى. He has fulfilled. Allah is mentioned in that Surah Al-Najm, وَإِبْرَاهِيمُ الَّذِي وَفَّى. He fulfilled, he paid, subhanallah. And who is saying that? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran. إِبْرَاهِيمُ الَّذِي وَفَّى فَأَتَمَّهُنْ. فَأَتَمَّهُنْ. Allah subhanallah is saying in the ayah, فَأَتَمَّهُنْ إِنِّي جَعِلْكُ النَّاسِ. So all the ayah saying that we have given him all the takalif and he fulfilled it, subhanallah. All of them. The second trial that is very hard, and you will see that, is how the people, and this is what the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam also faced. All the people of his tribe and all this that he raised on, already telling him that he is a sahir, he is a majnoon, he doesn't know anything, subhanallah. And this is in Surah Al-Anbiya, قالوا أجئتنا بالحق أم أنت من اللاعبين. Did you bring us with some right stuff, or you are just wasting our time? You are just from the لاعبين. كذلك ما أتى الذين من قبلهم من رسول إلا قالوا ساحر أو مجنون. All the people, Allah is giving tasliya to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam to calm him down, that the people before you, including Sayyidina Ibrahim, any prophet that come to them, except they say either sahir or majnoon. You are either like a wizard making witchcraft, or you are crazy, subhanallah. How would you tolerate that? You go to work every day, every one of us, and subhanallah, what would you do if you feel like people are talking about you that you are crazy? You have some issues with your brain. He is not making sound decisions, subhanallah. And he is just making the taklif from Allah. This is what I'm asking you. This is what Allah wants from you. This is la ilaha illallah. This is la ilaha illallah, subhanallah. And then you being called all these names, subhanallah. And they say, إنه من الظالمين, إنه لمن الظالمين, Surah Al-Anbiya and Surah Maryam. قال أراغب, this is his father, أراغب أنت عن آلهتي يا إبراهيم لئن لم تنتهي لأرجمنك وهجرني مليا. Subhanallah. Even will come to that, even his family, his very close tight family, they don't want him here. Move from here. Go travel somewhere else. We are not welcome to be in this house. Not only kicking him, they are kicking him out of the whole city that they were living in, and say, we're gonna stone you, subhanallah. So all this, subhanallah, of the trial coming from all his clan and all his tribe and all that. the su'al adab that he was facing, the impoliteness and the way that they were talking to him about being ساحر and a majnoon and all that, subhanallah. And this is in Surah At-Tur, أتواصوا به بل هم قوم طاغون من قبلهم الرسول إلا قالوا ساحر أو مجنون أتواصوا به, almost like they are inviting each other to say the same thing. They are talking to each other, he's sahir, he's majnoon. This is the social media at that time. He's this or that, subhanallah. And then at the end, subhanallah, the Quran is giving the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam saying, فَإِن كَذَّبُوكَ فَقَدْ كُذِّبَ رُسُلٌ مِّن قَبْلِكَ جَاءُوا بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ وَالزُّبُرِ وَالْكِتَابِ الْمُنِيرِ. If your people, Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, has been saying you are a liar, the rest of the prophets before you, they also face the same thing. So keep that in mind. Subhanallah, and this is the nahj of the da'wah as well. The same thing for us. Whoever comes with this, whoever comes with the real da'wah work and all that, it is immediately clear that they will be tested. And immediately people may talk bad about them and say they are terrorists, they are this, they are the one who started the war, they are the one who's slaughtering this, they are the one doing this, subhanallah. This is the qamus. This is the whole thing of the irada al-kawniyya to happen. So we can be differentiated. Who is the sabr? Who is the mutamayyiz? حتى لا نعبد الله على حرف. If you are kind of like believing and following the iman on the edge, you will be this way or this way. Allah will trial you. So you either this or that. Are you going to be black or white? Subhanallah. This is the whole part of the wisdom. Until they started to even have the bunyan, having this huge building, subhanallah, of fire, to say, okay, that's it. We're going to throw him into the hell, the fire that we built. Subhanallah. They say like even people will make a nazr. Nazr that, okay, if my husband do this, I'm going to add some woods to the fire that will be for Ibrahim. So they held him until they have this bunat. Subhanallah. All this like a huge building of the woods to be built with fire. It's a feast for them to watch this. Subhanallah. And he is on the persistence and the brave and all this. And then during the time that we know this from the hadith and that which was ruwayat, not hadith, that when Jibreel came to him and asked him and he say, for you I don't have anything, subhanallah. Amma lillah, na'am, subhanallah, I don't need anything from you. Even at the time that he was to be thrown into the fire, subhanallah. The third trial, which is part of this, is subhanallah, can you imagine your father or your very close family start to have this work of like all these sorts of things against you, that you are this and you are that and all this, subhanallah, until we talked about that you either be stoned and all that. And subhanallah, in some of the kutub of Seerah, the books of Seerah, saying that even his father Azar, that he was one of the builder of the building of the Asnam. He was building the Asnam and he was very close to the king who built the fire for Ibrahim. So he almost was closer to his enemy, subhanallah. And they say, وَالظُّلْمِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى أَشَدُّ مَضَادَةً عَلَى الْمَرْءِ مِنْ وَقْعِ الْحِسَامُ الْمُهَنَّدُ. This is a poetry saying that when you get the zulm, the oppression of dhil qurba, the people close to you, this is ashaddu madada, this is very sharp on you. Then the husam al-muhannadu, then the safe, then the very sharp sword, it is much harder when you get it from your close family or close relative, because it's closer to your heart. You open everything for them, and then they hurt you, subhanallah. That's what we see in families when they get separated and all that. Already the man and wife are the closest to each other. When they start to hurt each other, that's a huge thing. It's not like somebody stranger calling you some name in the street. So subhanallah, his father told him this, and لأهجرنك, and then Sayyidina Ibrahim say, and all the talk with him after saying, I'm going to stone you and leave me and all this. And Sayyidina Ibrahim all the time kept, Ya abati, Ya abati, Ya abati, with all the mercy and the kindness and all that to him, subhanallah. And this is important for us also when we are dealing with families and we're dealing with people around us, subhanallah. No matter how we get from them, that doesn't justify how we react as well, subhanallah. Especially if parents. You have to always be kind, and you have to be always be like the best model that we learned from Sayyidina Ibrahim. راغب أنت عن آلهتي يا إبراهيم لئن لم تنتهي لأرجمنك وهجرني مليا. The fourth kind of the trials that, subhanallah, I want you also to imagine, he did not have any children until after he reached 100 years old. Subhanallah. Can you imagine? Alhamdulillah, most of the people have the ni'mah of having children. May Allah yuslih jamia abna al-muslimin. Ameen, inshallah. May Allah make all the kids of the Muslim to be righteous and good. Ameen, inshallah. Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam did not have any children except, they say, between the age of 117 to 120 years old. 117 years old with no children whatsoever. Subhanallah. So this is by itself is a huge trial. And this is when he got Sayyidina Ismail at the beginning. We know from the Quran, Surah Ibrahim, Alhamdulillah alladhi wahaba li ala al-kibr. Ala al-kibr. Allah has bestowed on me, Alhamdulillah. So, subhanallah, there is no complaint before that mentioned in the Quran. There is nothing of dua or anything, subhanallah, that I need this or I need that, subhanallah. Only we know from the Quran, Surah Ibrahim, when he got the children at this old age, he's saying, Alhamdulillah, alladhi wahaba li ala al-kibr, subhanallah. On this my age, Ismail wa Ishaq, inna rabbi la sami'u dua, subhanallah. Allah is really listening. Sami'u dua. He is describing Allah, that Allah is really listening to the dua. How old is he? 117 years old. How many years he was making dua? Subhanallah, you can imagine. And this is connect this with what the Prophet ﷺ saying, وَلَكِنَّكُمْ تَسْتَعْجِلُونَ. We make the dua and we ask, okay, I've been making dua now for 2 nights. I've been making dua for a week. Subhanallah. And we have Sayyidina Ibrahim, 117 years until he got a child, Ismail. And say, Alhamdulillah, الذي وهب لي على الكبر إسماعيل وإسحاق إن ربي لسميع الدعاء. Indeed, Allah. So giving the inna, subhanallah, لسميع واللام, توكيد, all this توكيد, لسميع الدعاء, subhanallah, all the توكيد, the confirmation, 100%. Allah is really listening to all the dua, subhanallah. 117 years. So, subhanallah, this is important for us to imagine, because we come to the fifth one, the fifth trial. You already been doing this, and subhanallah, facing your family, moved and exiled and burned. You have that children, that child, first one after all this year, and then after that you are ordered to take your wife and the newborn in a place that has nothing there, a desert, and leave them. Subhanallah. Imagine you take your wife and your newborn to another city, even has people and everything, and leave them. How do you feel about that? And say like, okay, I'm gonna go back. And we talk about the ghurba and the feeling of being estranged from our home and all this, subhanallah. And talk about the ghurba of the Anbiya, how they were estranged from their own homes and all this, subhanallah. And the Prophet leaving Mecca and Ibrahim leaving his all this, and then subhanallah, after all this with the son, he did not say, isn't it enough? Didn't I do enough? 117 years. This is only thing I got from life. Ismail, he just got this. Subhanallah. What is this? There is no complaining or anything. Subhanallah. Sabr, and model for us to imagine and remember, and subhanallah, to have it in our life. Because if we don't have that, subhanallah, we have nothing. This is our core. And then subhanallah, and we have that in all his family. And we talked about the tawakkul of his wife, subhanallah, Hajar, when she was asking him and asking him and asking him until she asked, and he doesn't even look at her. We talked about that. And then she asked, Allahu amaraka bihada, did Allah order you to do this? And then when he nodded this, she said like, La yudayyi'an Allahu abadan. Allah will never let us down. Allah will never let us go lost, subhanallah. We have the tawakkul on Allah all the time, subhanallah. There is no question about that. This is the tawakkul that we have to learn during the time of adversity. And we know what happened with all that, and Sayyidina Jibreel and the Zamzam and all that. The last one of the trial, subhanallah, because I don't want to take time, inshallah, after all this, and then subhanallah, the Sayyidina Ismail got raised and bigger and older, and like بلغ معه السعي, subhanallah, he is like good, a very good child, and he is like having the connection and the bonding with the father and all this, and then all of a sudden, another order to slaughter. Wallahi, if you imagine all these sequence, you will be puzzled about a human being withstanding and all that. And the thing, when we look at it, we look at the end, subhanAllah, and say, Allah give him this and all that. But the minute that he see this and see the ru'ya, that he see a dream slaughtering his son and go and telling his wife and telling his son and all that, subhanAllah, it's beyond our imagination. And they are not angels, subhanAllah. They are humans. So, subhanAllah, إن هذا لهو البلاء المبين. This is really the biggest test you can imagine. Having all this time without any kids, and then having a kid and leaving them in the desert. The kid growing and becoming old and kind of like having between like 14 or 16 or around this age. Oh, now slaughter your son. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. So alayhi salatu wasalam, he went through a lot of the trials. And all this, subhanallah, this is in the Quran, Surah As-Saffat. فَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَ وَتَلَّهُ لِلْجَبِينِ وَنَادَيْنَاهُ أَن يَا إِبْرَاهِيمُ قَدْ صَدَّقْتَ الرُّؤْيَا إِنَّا كَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ. You are indeed from the muhsinin. This is a rank that ihsan. And إِنَّ هَذَا لَهُوَ الْبَلَاءُ الْمُبِينَ. This is indeed the biggest test. Allah is giving him this certificate. We have tested you, the real great, like huge test. You have done this, subhanallah. وَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذِبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ. Subhanallah. So this is a lot of the trials that went through the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam in his life. وَإِذَا ابْتَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبُّهُ بِكَلِمَاتٍ فَأَتَمَّهُنْ. Kalimat, subhanallah. Allah has tested and tested and tested Sayyidina Ibrahim. فَأَتَمَّهُنْ. He fulfilled all of it. He succeeded with like flashing signs, subhanallah. Ibrahim alladhi waffa. So the last, I will inshallah conclude with the main message, that with the mihna was sabr ta'ti al-minha, subhanallah. As soon as you inshallah withstand the trial and everything, Allah will reveal the blessing to you inshallah in this life and the hereafter, of course. إنما يوفى الصابرون أجرهم بغير حساب, subhanallah. And this is the aqibah. This is the end. We see that, but when we are having something, we don't remember that, unfortunately. I'm speaking about even myself, subhanallah. وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ أَئِمَّةٍ يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا لَمَّا صَبَرُوا. We've made them a'imma to guide you when they were patient, subhanallah. This is a clear message. If you are withstanding, inshallah, and you are tolerating and having the sabr in Allah, and the tawakkul in Allah, and the shukr even on Allah, and the iqan with the ayat of Allah, then you become this muflihun. This is what Allah has told us. Inna Ibrahim kana ummatan qanitan lillah. And then he became not only imaman, he became ummah qanitan lillahi hanifa. ولم يكن من المشركين شاكرا لأنعمه. All this, subhanallah, description in the Quran about all his amazing characteristics, one by one by one, subhanallah. So we'll see some of the things, subhanallah. Sayyidina Ibrahim is probably the only prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam, that you think about, subhanallah. All of them, all the Muslim, the Jews, the Christians, they want to say he was Jew, he is Christian, and he is, subhanallah, the only prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam, that all the diyanat saying they have no question about him, Sayyidina Ibrahim. And this is, subhanallah, in the Quran, Surah Al-Imran, يا أهل الكتاب لما تحاجون في إبراهيم وما أنزلت التوراة والإنجيل إلا من بعده أفلا تعقلون. Allah is saying how he is a Jew or Christian. This, all the Christianity and Judaism and all that came after him. أفلا تعقلون. Don't you think Ibrahim was even before all this, subhanallah, before Sayyidina Ismail, and subhanallah, ها أنتم هؤلاء حاججتم فيما لكم به علم فلما تحاجون فيما ليس لكم به علم والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون ما كان إبراهيم يهوديا ولا نصرانيا ولكن كان حنيفا مسلما وما كان من المشركين. Ibrahim, he was never a Jew or a Christian, but was حنيفا مسلما وما كان من المشركين. إن أولى الناس بإبراهيم للذين اتبعوه وهذا النبي والذين آمنوا. The best people to follow Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, the people that followed him, subhanallah. وهذا النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام, Sayyidina Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, والذين آمنوا والله ولي المؤمنين. So this is a message to differentiate and say Ibrahim was Muslim, Hanifan Musliman, وَمَا كَانَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ, and the people of Islam are the people who are really truly on this Hanifiyya as well, following his steps. We talked about that. And subhanAllah, but this is to show you how the ni'mah that happened after all these trials and trials and trials. And this is the same model. If you have the bala and you have the sabr, and then you see the wadi, the place that he left his son and his wife, Sayyidina Ummina Hajar, and subhanAllah became Mecca and became the Buqa al-Mubarakah, the most blessed part of the whole earth, subhanAllah, that we face 5 times a day, and people do the Hajj and the Umrah always alive, subhanAllah, under the Saqf, subhanAllah, al-Bayt al-Ma'mur, immediately underneath that. This is an honor, subhanAllah, for the Muslims, and built by Sayyidina Ibrahim and Sayyidina Ismail, raised al-Qawa'id, subhanAllah. So this is ni'mah for tolerating all these trials. And subhanAllah, we remember Sayyidina Ibrahim and Sayyidina Ismail and Sayyidina Ummina Hajar and all this, subhanAllah, every year during the Eid and during we have only 2 Eid that the Prophet ordered us and to have the feast and all that and enjoy and have this, subhanAllah. One of them related to Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam and the slaughtering of Sayyidina Ismail and the fida' bidhibhin azim. And he lived, subhanAllah, 200 years. And then he got all of his spring, Abul Anbiya, the father of all the prophets, as subhanAllah an honor and a reward. So subhanAllah, Allah in everything that he took away from him, his family that throw him away and give him away, subhanAllah, don't worry about that. All your offspring are going to become Anbiya, subhanAllah. Sayyidina Ismail wa Ishaq wa Yaqub, subhanAllah, all this Anbiya. And we have the Hatem al-Anbiya from Nasl Sayyidina Ismail, Sayyidina Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. What do you see the reward and do you see the trials and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has rewarded him for each one of them, subhanAllah. This is the namus al-kawni, depends on your tolerating and all that. So subhanAllah, we need to imagine this and imagine that the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam words at the beginning, وَلَكِنَّكُمْ تَسْتَعْجِلُونَ. When you have a trial and we have a test, we have to remember these models. And we have to know that with the minha comes with the mihna comes the minha, subhanAllah. With all ibtila, they come the reward, subhanAllah. And وَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا لَا يَغْلِبْ, subhanAllah. Allah is saying in the Surah Al-Sharh, there is no way that the usr, two usr can be beating the yusr, inshallah. So the yusr is always going to come. The positive and the victory and all that, subhanAllah, will always going to come. But you have to tolerate, subhanAllah. You have to go through the fire that was thrown into the Sayyidina Ibrahim. He was thrown into a tangible fire. We may see a different kind of fire, each for tolerance, subhanAllah. And if Allah trialed you with something, He knows that you can tolerate. There is no question about that. Don't say it's beyond, subhanAllah. Allah doesn't put a fruit on a branch that He knows the branch can tolerate that. Otherwise, all the branches of trees will be falling when they have the fruits. So if He gave you some trial, He knows you will be able to tolerate, inshallah. So may Allah reward us, inshallah, and gather us with Sayyidina Ibrahim and all the Anbiya and Sayyidina Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam fil firdaus al-a'la, inshallah. And we have in them the best model to tolerate and relive their lives and take as much as possible into our lives, subhanAllah. All the Anbiya, Sayyidina Muhammad, wa Sayyidina Ibrahim, wa Sayyidina Yusuf, wa Sayyidina Musa, subhanAllah. All these examples in the Quran to live through it, inshallah. May Allah accept, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. جزاكم الله خيرا, inshallah. Inshallah, next week will be the Seerah, inshallah.